Let's get into this. Okay, this is part 3. Look at these photos. These are what part 3 is about. It's about creating the texture and the brick and the depth in the final wall of the build of this Popeye set. Isn't this cool? Man, I'm super excited about this this build and the photos that will be coming up. If you haven't watched part 1 or part 2 of this set, I will link them in the description and put a banner in the video now. And that will link you to watching part 1 where I built the floor that you see on the left. And then part 2 is I built the blue wall you see on the image on the left also. Let's get ahead and start doing the final wall. Right here, I'm cutting and measuring some corrugated tin. Well, it's cardboard, but it's ultimately going to be, you know, like a tin, a rusted tin that goes along the base of the floor, the bottom part of the wall where it meets the floor. So I like the measurements on that. Looks good. You know, I'm going to make a rough line with a pencil, and the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to mark off. There's 3 sections of this foam that I'm going to create. One part is going to be that metal tin. The next part is going to be brick. I do a line, then I skip a line, then I mark a line, then I skip a line, then I mark a line, then I skip a line. Now I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to skip a line, but mark every edge of the brick. You can see kind of what I'm doing here. And the reason I skip a line is because, remember, bricks are staggered, so that's why we skip a line here. And once I get all the edges of these bricks, then I'm going to, you know, skip a line and do the same thing for the staggered brick. And it's going to create, you'll see what it does. It creates the staggered brick on all the lines. But it's important to do it on one line, skip a line, do it on a line, skip a line. And you'll see how it all comes together here. Sometimes I get lost in my stinking lines while I'm doing it. I'm like, where did I just make a mark? You know, and I get lost and I have to look and double check because I'll ruin it. But at any rate, some people do this by not using the pen. They just do it straight away with the razor. It is a long process. If you're marking the line, then you're drawing the line, then and then you got to go back through and you got to cut each line. It does get to be a lengthy process, but I do it with the pen first and then I do it with the razor after. I don't want to get lost and mess up, but you know, so we're here in my airbrush booth and I'm going to texture this panel. You can see I've only done a part of that panel in brick because remember the bottom is going to be the tin and the left side is going to be the stucco where it kind of fades into the brick. The tin foil ball, I just, you know, bang on there and make all these indentations and sort of mar up the surface of the brick. So I'm going to drop a few drops of black into this airbrush, and I love doing this with the airbrush because it used to be I had to black wash it on there, wait for it to dry, then paint it, and it just took a lot more paint. It took a lot more time. this is so much faster. I don't know what I was waiting for. Using the airbrush is much faster and you use less material, and I really like it. Here I'm going in with a darker brown over the black. You can kind of see, it doesn't matter if I get it on the edges, because those edges are going to be covered up. The bottom is going to be covered up by the cardboard that's going to look like metal, and the left is going to be covered up by sheetrock mud that's going to look like stucco. So we're adding some red into the brown here, and then I just mix it up in the cup and I add a little reducer because, it's kind of thick when I go to spray it at a lower air pressure, so it's got to flow, man. It's got to flow. So you could see the definite color change that I've added with that bit of red in there, and it just brings up another layer of depth to the brick, and you're going to see how it all plays out, later on as we finish building this out and painting it. It just really it comes alive in a really cool way, man. I'm super excited. So there's the finished brick. It's not finished, but it's finished airbrushing. This is important if you want to have white grout lines in your brick. This is what I use. I use an acrylic medium modeling paste, and what that is just like that. It's a modeling paste, but I'll take a plastic card and I'll just get a dab on there and I'll drag it across those bricks, pressing it all down into the lines that I scored with the razor, and then drug my pencil back through to open them up. Some people use actual grout for this. I don't think I would do that. It's pretty abrasive and you will run the risk of taking your paint off. We don't want to do that. A little paint does come off with this method because I'm wiping it down with a damp microfiber cloth here. But you see how it leaves the white in the grout lines. And it's a really cool method. And this modeling paste, I think it's like $15 or something. I'll link it in the video description down below so you can do the same method if you want. It's an awesome way to be able to get white grout lines, or whatever color grout line you want for that matter, because you can add paint to it and mix it and come up with some really cool, different colored grout lines. Crisscrossy zigzagged lines instead of the nice feathered ones that I have here. Tacky glue, wait some time, and then you see the metal that I created at the bottom there, the cardboard piece. I just rattle can that and sprayed, spray painted it, and then those pins are holding it down while it dries. And then, so here, what we're doing is just taking the very, very tip of the X-Acto knife and tearing out, I don't want to say tearing out, but removing a lot of different color, variations in there that help make it look a little bit more realistic. And that looks really cool. Look at that. I'm just kind of eyeballing it, thinking, okay, what do I do now? I'm going to get some. This is cool. I'll go through, and some of the white grout line got a little red on it, and I just put a little white paint over the top of that. It's no big deal. Just get a fine brush and go back in through there with the a really small brush and a little bit of white paint. And now we're going to dry brush some white paint on there, and look how it brings that brick out, man. It just pops right there, man. Look at that. Just really starts to come alive with that dry brushing. All those things combined, all those little things, all the tearing the foam out, the smashing it down with wood, the black wash, all that stuff just really contributes to making the brick come out, little by little. It just starts to pop out. Now I've got a pewter color here, sort of a really, not a gray, but more of it's called pewter. And it's that apple barrel stuff too from Walmart. I just take it with a sponge. I like to photograph things with texture and depth and feel to them, and this is just really going to help out when I photograph this Popeye, man. I look at all those holes, see the benefit of the black wash. I added some signage on there, and what I do with the signage is I usually just create a foam base and then I put it on there, but I just glued these right to the sheetrock mud, and then I damped over them with a black wash and a sponge to kind of blend them in and give them a little grime also. Anyway, folks, man, I had a really good time building this, and I hope that sharing these builds with you is something that you like. I've gotten some feedback, and people really dig it. So not only will I share the way that I build this stuff with you, but I will also, of course, continue to share the photography part of it with you also that I do. So the next video on this step will be the actual light setup and the photography shoot. But until then, like, subscribe, share my stuff, check me out on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I appreciate everybody's enthusiasm and comments and participation. Like I say, Instagram, I'm at insightful_imagery, Facebook, insightful imagery, TikTok, insightful imagery, and of course, YouTube, insightful imagery. But anyway, folks, I appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next